Hello again. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy over here for EliTheComputerGuy.com and EverymanIT.com. Today's class is simple Windows PC tune-up. So if you've noticed your older computer is starting to run slower, it's starting to take longer to boot up, many times all you need to do is tune up your PC. Tuning up your PC is a very simple process. Basically, all you're going to be doing, all I will be showing you how to do today, is how to defragment and clean up your registry, how to clean out the temporary files that are stored on your computer. We're going to talk about how to disable startup items, so unnecessary programs that start up when your computer starts up, and then how to easily uninstall programs that you're not really using and that are slowing down your computer. Now, in order to do this, there's a lot of different software out there that allows you to do this very easily. I'm going to show you how to do this using a piece of software that I prefer called CCleaner. If you go to CCleaner.com, it's just a little piece of software that you download off the internet. That's right now, it's free for particular uses and not free for other uses, but generally I always assume that it's free. But we're going to use CCleaner. We're going to use CCleaner to defragment the registry, clean out the temporary files, disable startup items, and uninstall unused programs. This will make your computer run a lot faster, and it's actually really quick to do. Like in less than 10 minutes, you really can notice a performance difference in an older computer. So with that, give me a few minutes, and we'll come back and we'll dive into this class. Now, the first thing that I need you to understand before we get into this class on the simple Windows PC tune-up is that you understand what a tune-up is and what we are going to be doing, and also what we're not going to be doing. So when you do a tune-up of your computer, it is much like changing the oil on your car, changing the air filter, etc. Basically, you are doing simple routine maintenance on a computer that already works pretty well. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cleaning out temporary files, we're going to be defragmenting your registry, we're going to be uninstalling unused programs, and we're going to be disabling startup items. This is on a computer that functionally works okay. It is just slower than it should be. It takes longer to start up than it should. This is not for removing viruses from your computer, not for removing malware from the computer, not failing hard drives, etc. So the basic premise is that your computer is functionally, everything's pretty A-okay. You just have to do a tune-up to it. Now, you may be thinking that the only reason your Windows computer is going to be acting slow or crappy is if it has spyware or malware, etc. And the reality is, unfortunately, with Windows, you can have a computer that has zero viruses, zero spyware, and it still runs abysmally slow simply because things have gotten in there and gunked up the works. It's just how Windows is. I don't know why. Even with Windows 7, there's just not a good self-maintenance, automatic maintenance routine in Windows. I don't know why, but there isn't. So if you don't go in and you don't do a tune-up like we're going to be doing today, it just makes your computer run slow and crappy, etc. So what we're going to be doing in order to do this tune-up is we're going to be using a piece of software called CCleaner. So you can go to www.ccleaner.com and download it for free. There's a free version for home use, so that's good. And this one product does everything that we're going to be talking about today. So in this one product, you can clean out your temporary files, defragment your registry, uninstall programs, disable startup items, and actually a lot more. It's very good, it's very robust, it's easy to use, etc. I've used it a lot. I've used it for about 3 years, and it's just a wonderful piece of software. There is other software out there, so you can use other software to do this, but CCleaner is good, and if it's for home use, it's free. And it works really well. So with CCleaner, we're going to be doing these 4 things: cleaning out the temporary files, defragmenting the registry, uninstalling unused programs, and disabling startup items. Now, the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be deleting all of your temporary files. So with Windows creates a lot of temporary files, just in due course as it's going along. So when you go to a website, your computer creates a temporary files off of that website. So it downloads the pictures, it downloads flash animation, etc. When you create a Word document, it creates a temporary version of that Word document that you were working off of. Now what happens is a lot of this is supposed to get deleted automatically, and for some reason it does not get deleted automatically, just because. Why this is a problem is because if you're going to be running antivirus software, if you're going to be running anti-malware software, etc., remember your software is going to scan every file in your computer, whether it's a normal file that you want to keep or a temporary file that you don't care about. This becomes a big problem, especially if you or your client pirates movies. So if you use something like BitTorrent and download movies, from the web, well, what BitTorrent does is it goes out and it starts selectively downloading parts of a movie until it creates the whole movie. So let's say a movie is 2 gigs in size. So it keeps trying to grab parts to create that 2 gig movie. Well, what I've seen is a lot of times it'll only get 1.5 or 1.7 gigs of that movie downloaded, and it won't be able to get the rest. Well, you don't realize that temporary file is sitting there because it never goes into your movies folder because it's still a temporary file. Well, if you've tried to download a lot of these movies and a lot of these are failed, you may have lots and lots and lots of these temporary movie files that you don't realize is there. Literally, 3 weeks ago, I went over to a client's house. I ran the CCleaner, Clean Up Temporary Files. He had 56 gigs of temporary files. And he liked his BitTorrent, his bear share, or whatever. And so this is a problem. So if the antivirus software tried to scan, every time it tried to scan, it would scan an additional 56 gigs of data that he did not care about. There's just temporary files sitting up there cluttering everything up. The other problem with temporary files is for your computer, for your Windows computer, you should have at least 10% of the hard drive space free. This is for basic functioning of how the computer works. Your Windows computer creates something called shadow files and does other things, and in order for that to work properly, it needs 10% of your hard drive space free. If you have less than 10% of your hard drive space free, it might start acting a little weird. If you get below 1 gig of space that's not free, you can actually start having problems where your computer starts slow, things start freezing up, and it may actually to crash. I have seen this with log files with servers. Many people, you bring up a server and it just stays on for years. You don't think about it. Well, I've seen this 2 times where there were different pieces of software on different servers, and these software would create log files. And you want to think about it, it's just stupid little text log files. No big deal, right? Well, every single second, they were inputting something into the log file. And with both of these got to be huge, like 10 or 20 gigs. And back in the old days, that was a big hard drive, and it literally shut the servers down. They would just crash the servers. So the reason you need to clean out the temporary files is, one, because you don't want to scan crap files. With your antivirus or anti-malware software. It's going to take a long time, and it's pointless. And also, if you have less than 10% of your hard drive space free, it can cause problems. If you have less than 1 gig free, it can cause a lot of really bad problems. Now, the next thing that we're going to be doing with this tune-up is we're going to be defragmenting the registry. So the registry in a Windows PC computer is it is a database that contains a lot of configuration information for the operating system and software installed on the Windows computer. So things like whether the task manager shows up, when things start, what happens when the computer shuts down, power management, lots and lots and lots of stuff is stored in the registry. So whenever you install a new piece of software, it inserts values into the registry. Now the problem with Windows is Windows never properly cleans up the registry. So if you uninstall software or if you stop using something, it doesn't necessarily get taken out of the registry. Why this is a problem is when your computer is starting up or when your computer is doing routine tasks, the computer is going to go to the registry and look and see what commands it's supposed to run. Now here's the thing, you may have commands in that registry that are supposed to run, but they now point to files or executables that no longer exist. What happens then is that the computer will try to run those files. It will fail, which will make your computer run slower, and it'll keep doing that. What is happening is it will fail what is called silently. So something is happening, or it's trying to make something happen, but it doesn't give you a warning that it failed. It's just making your computer run slower. So again, I've seen with Clean Out the Registry, you may have 500 invalid registry keys. So every time you're trying to do something, the computer is going to the registry trying to run these commands. These commands are failing because the executables no longer exist, and it just slows your computer down. So defragmenting the registry, what happens is CCleaner will go in, it will scan the registry, it will look for invalid keys. So in the registry, it's called a key. If the key points to something that doesn't exist, we will then be able to delete it. This will make your computer run faster. The next thing that you do is you uninstall unused programs. So a lot of people have software on their computer that they don't care about anymore. Toolbars, just spyware and just spammy kind of stuff that's in their program files. So those programs do take resources from your computer. So if you go in, you can uninstall all of that stuff and it will make your computer run better. Again, things like toolbars, games, just all kinds of stuff that people install, and they never think about uninstalling. Then the final thing that you're going to do is you're going to disable startup items. So this is a big one. So when your computer starts up, not only does the operating system start up, but there are things called startup files that start. So things like QuickTime can automatically start, Adobe Reader can automatically start, QuickBooks, all this stuff. Why this happens is because the manufacturers of particular software want their software to seem like it's running faster than it actually is. So if you double click on an icon and it takes like 10 seconds for the software to load, what they've realized is if they kind of like pre-start the software, then it will only take 2 seconds to load. So especially things like Adobe products, QuickTime products, etc. What they'll do is they'll pre-start the software when your computer boots so that when you double click or use their software, it'll seem like it's running a lot quicker than it is. The problem is many times you're not using the software. Like Adobe, how often do you use Adobe? QuickBooks, how often do you use QuickBooks? QuickTime, all this stuff. Many times you actually don't use that software very often. So all it's doing is taking resources from your system just in case you might use it right now. And this isn't a small amount of resources. You may be using 512 worth of RAM or even a gig of RAM in all these startup items. Most of the problems that I see with Windows computers that aren't viruses or spyware are startup items. If you clean out or if you disable the startup items on your average Windows PC computer, it will markedly be quicker. It's like, even if you don't do anything else, if you simply disable all the crappy startup items that they have starting up, if you disable those, your computer will run faster. It's that simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to my computer. We're going to use CCleaner. I'm going to show you how all this works. We're going to clean out the temporary files. We're going to defragment the registry. We're going to disable the startup items, and we're going to uninstall unused programs. We'll show you how simple this is. Like I say, this is really simple. You can do it in 5 minutes. And as long as you don't have viruses or malware or any of that crap on your computer, you will be able to tell the difference. In 5 minutes, your computer will run much faster and much better than it did before you did the tune-up. So let's go over to the computer and I'll show you how this works. So here we are at my Windows 7 computer. I have Google Chrome open, and we're going to go to www.CCleaner.com. And this CCleaner is made by this company called Puriform. And so basically, you just go to CCleaner.com, and all you're going to do is you're going to download CCleaner. So you click on the download button. Now, as you're going to see,
as I talk about as a professional technician, a lot of our job is about installing software and configuring software and swapping out hardware and all that. And a lot of our job is figuring out licenses. As I said, CCleaner has this free version, no support. But then there's a home version that you pay $25 for, and a business edition that you pay $35 for. Basically, especially since this class is going to be up on the web for like 5 years, whenever you go to do this, make sure that you look and see what the current licensing states and whether or not you can use it. When I first started using CCleaner, all they had was a free version. And then they came out with a business version. And now they have a home version. And so by the time you're doing it, it may all cost money and maybe you want to use a different product. Just make sure that you know what licenses you're using, etc. I would say then all you do is you click on the download from Puriform link. And then you click on the start download button here, or you can just keep. So basically this is how you download CCleaner. It's a very simple piece of software to install. You just download it and you install it. The one thing now, again, how they try to make some of their money is they try to install toolbars and that kind of stuff onto your computer. They give you the option to opt out of it. And although I like Puriform, I would say to opt out of it when you're installing the software. So once you get done installing CCleaner, you will have a nice little icon on your desk like this, and all you do is you double click on it. And then CCleaner opens up. Now, one of the things that's also useful for you is CCleaner will tell you a bit of information about your computer. So you can see the computer that I run with CCleaner is a Windows 7 64-bit. Service Pack 1 shows you the processor, so I have an i7 2.8 gigahertz. This is 2 years old, but it's still working fine for me. 4 gigs of RAM, NVIDIA, GeForce, blah blah blah. So it does tell you some information about your computer. Now the first thing that you're going to have the option to do is clean the temporary files from your computer. So this will go in, it'll clean out those BitTorrent files like we talked about, it'll clean up the internet cache files that we talked about. It will just go through and clean up a lot of the temporary files that you may not realize are on your computer. Now again, even if you're not downloading BitTorrent files, you may be very surprised with how much temporary garbage you have on your computer. It is very common for an average little old grandmother to have 5 gigs of temporary garbage on your computer. Again, that may not bring your computer to a screeching halt, but like I say, if you run virus scans, if you run out of that, it's gonna make your computer run slower. Now, in order to run this scan, you will notice there's 2 buttons down here. There's Analyze and Run Cleaner. So if you click the Analyze button, basically it's going to go through and then it will ask you if you really want to clean up the files that it showed you. Well, I always know that I want to clean up the files that's going to show me, so I just run Cleaner right away. So you just run Cleaner, and then right now, I keep a pretty clean computer, but it removed 16 megs of files. So it emptied the recycle bin, something you might not think about, the Google Chrome Internet Cache, cookies, some of this application stuff. Now, one of the things that I would suggest is with both the temporary file cleaner and with the registry defragmenter, that you run them twice. It will normally find things on the second and third scan. So you run it once, and then I can just run the CCleaner again, and then see it's still finding new stuff. It's only 3.3 kilobytes a second, but that is some data. If you remove like 5 gigs of data on the first time, it's very likely on the second scan that it'll still remove like another 100 megs of data. So you might as well do it. So that's all you do to clean out the temporary files. The next thing that you do is then you defragment your registry. So if you click on the registry icon here, you can it'll go through and it will scan for all the problems in the registry. Missing DLLs, unused file extensions, ActiveX, blah, blah, blah. All you have to do is you have to scan for issues. With this one, you can't automatically just fix the issue. You actually have to scan for the issue. So it will go through and will find problems. Now, again, remember this is my computer, so it's relatively clean. A lot of computers, it is not uncommon to see 300 or 400 problems with the registry. Once you've run the scan, all you do is fix selected issues, and then it's going to ask you, do you want to fix this particular issue or do you want to fix all selected issues? Now, unless you're a lot smarter than me, you're probably not going to know what each individual key is going to do. And let me tell you, after using this product for 3 years, I can say it's never killed a computer. It's never destroyed a computer. So always do fix all selected issues. If there's 300 or 400 registry items here, you don't want to fix them one at a time. I guarantee you don't know what they mean anyway, so you might as well just fix all the selected issues. And then that's all it is. So issues fixed, then we close. Again, you want to run this a second time because many times it will find a problem the second time you run it, second or third. If this was for a client's computer, I would probably run this 3 times to make sure I got everything. This time it says no issues were found. So next we are going to go to the tools. So we go over here to the toolbox, and this is where we look for the startup items and the uninstall stuff. So we can go through here and we can see all the applications that are installed on my computer. And me being me, you can see there's a lot of stuff on here. There's 7-zip, there's Adobe Air, there's Airport. It shows you the size of the files. So a lot of times you can have very, very large pieces of software on your computer, and that might also be clogging up how much space you have. If you notice, this Adobe Creative Suite 3 takes up 4.2 gigs, just the software. And then on top of that, I have Creative Suite 4 Production Premium that takes up another 6.8 gigs. So between these two, it takes up 11 gigs of space. Now, if I don't actually use Adobe Creative Suite, that's storage I can get back. And you would be surprised, a lot of people install things like Adobe Creative Suite, they pirate it from the internet, they install it, and then they never use it. So you may come in and find there's 30 or 40 gigs taken up by the software that the people don't actually use. So we're just going to go through here. I know what it is, so I'm just going to uninstall 7-zip. This is actually a fine piece of software, but just to show you how this works, we're going to uninstall it. So all you do is you highlight it, and then you do run uninstaller. It, of course, is going to ask you want to uninstall the product, and you say yes. It's going to give you a box, and it will run through, and it will uninstall the software. And that's all you have to do. So basically it'll run through and it will uninstall the software for you. And so if you go through here, what you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking for toolbars, you're going to be looking for extra security software, etc. Anything that you don't need to use. Java program, like little Java games. You'd be surprised how much software people install and then they forget about it. And that's the thing. So especially if it's your computer, if you go in and you don't need it, or if you don't even know what it is, it's usually a good idea to uninstall it. And with, like I say, with client systems, if you go in, I've seen so many times where the client system will have like 5 to 10 toolbars installed on their Internet Explorer. And then they wonder why Internet Explorer runs so slowly. It's because they've got 10 toolbars. So then once you've uninstalled whatever software you want to install, you then go to this little startup button here. And this shows you all the items that start up when your computer starts up. So all of these different pieces of software here take resources from the computer and will make your computer take longer to boot. So the more stuff you have here, the longer it'll take to boot. And what you'll notice is a lot of this stuff is just garbage that you don't care about. So let's see, we have Microsoft Security Client. So this is the antivirus software, that's fine. We have the audio software. But then look at this, even on my computer, I don't know why this is here. So QuickTime. So all this does is it starts a little bit of QuickTime. So if you ever watch a QuickTime movie, it'll make it faster. Well, the thing is, I never watch QuickTime movies, so I can just go over here and disable it. And so now this will not start when the computer starts up. There's Apple application support, synchronization, like Google desktop search. I know I don't use that, so I can disable that. Google update. So this is one of the things that you'll find is a lot of little pieces of software that you run have update software. So, to tell you that the latest thing has come out. Well, I don't want Google to tell me that I need to update my Google software. If I want to update my Google software, I will do it when I please. So I can disable that, and then I can disable, again, the Java update. You would be surprised with some of the computers I've seen. You may see 50 startup items here. So again, even if the person doesn't have a virus, even if the person doesn't have malware, even if the hard drive isn't failing, they have so many things trying to start up when the computer starts up that it's just horrible. It's just crawling along, especially if you have somebody that installs every toolbar that they come across. If there's not a free piece of software that they don't install, well, they will have a lot of stuff here. And it'll just cause a lot of problems. Like I say, it'll take longer to boot. And then even when the computer is running, all of these different pieces of software here require resources. They require RAM, they require CPU, etc. So if you have a lot of stuff, once a computer is even booted, well, then it's still making your computer run slow because it's used all of the resources here. So this is something that's very important to go through. Also, this is very useful here. You will notice many times when you're dealing with client computers or even your computer that when your computer boots up, you will get a message box with an error where it'll go beep, and then it'll say, some file cannot be found. Well, the reason that you're getting that error is because there's something in this startup file here that is trying to trigger an executable that has been removed. So maybe you uninstalled a piece of software, and what it did was it deleted all of the software files, but it did not delete the startup item to tell it not to try to start when the computer starts up. So basically what will happen is when the computer starts up, your computer goes to the file, looks for things that should start up. It then tries to start something that doesn't exist. Since it doesn't exist, you then get an error, which means this little message box goes pop, pop, and there's a file that cannot be found. So that's one of the things in the startup thing that can be very useful. But this is all there is to CCleaner. So all you do is you go to CCleaner.com, you download this, you install this. I would say don't install the toolbar. You then go and you run the cleaner, so this little cleaning icon, and then you do run the cleaner. That will clean out all the files. Again, I've seen up to 56 gigs. It's very normal to see somewhere between 1 to 5 gigs of stuff. You then go to the registry. You do scan for issues, then you fix the selected issues. Again, with both the cleaner and the registry, you want to run this 2 to 3 times back to back because it'll find something each time. Especially like with the registry, you'll scan it once, it'll find 300 problems. You scan it again, it finds 50 problems. You scan it again, it finds 10 problems. You scan it again, it finds no problems. It's very normal. Then you go down to the tools icon. You go to uninstall, and when you go through here, you want to uninstall all the toolbars, weird anti-malware, anti-spyware software, free Java games, basically anything you don't know what it is, you probably should uninstall it. Then you go to the startup button, and these are all the items that try to start when your computer starts up, and all you do is you highlight what you don't want to start up, and then you hit disable. Now with this, the thing with the startup items is to make sure always leave your security software on, because real-time scanning, in order to make your antivirus software work, it has to be on. It's just how it works. The other thing is that you should leave any printer software here on. So especially with HP, Hewlett-Packard printers, a lot of times they have like a little application that starts when your computer starts up, and if you don't allow that to start, you will not be able to print to the printer. So security software and printing software, leave it be. Everything else you can disable as you see fit. So that's all there is to CCleaner. So with that, let's go back out to the real world and have some final thoughts.
So that's all there is to doing a tune-up on your Windows PC. So I showed you, we use CCleaner. We cleaned out the temporary files, we defragmented the registry, we disabled the startup items, and we uninstalled unused software. So it's really that simple, and it really will make your computer run much faster. As a professional, I do this to my computer probably about once a month. Why? Because it really does work. Again, doing this, remember this is a tune-up. So this is kind of like changing the oil to your car. It's like changing the air filter. It's just making a computer that already runs pretty well and makes it run faster and better. If you have spyware, viruses, any of that's its own deal. Also, we didn't go into things like Windows updates. The reason is, in the real world, I've seen this is a big problem, especially if you're working for clients, is many times if you install Windows updates, it will actually make your computer run slower. We saw this big problem with Windows XP. If they didn't have had no Service Pack, or if they had Service Pack 1, if we installed Service Pack 2 or Service Pack 3, it would make the computer run slower regardless of what we did. The reason is the updates require more resources from the computer. So this is something that you should think about, especially if you're doing this for a client. If you do the tune-up that I just showed you how to do, it will definitely make the computer run faster. If right after you do that, you install all the Windows updates that you're supposed to install, it may make the computer run even slower than it did before, and there's nothing that you can do about it. All of the updates that Microsoft puts out, they all require more and more resources. The original Windows XP only required 64 megs of RAM. And back in the day, I ran Windows XP machines with 64 megs of RAM, and they really didn't run that poorly. If you go up to Service Pack 3 and you have less than 512 worth of RAM, it's gonna crawl. The reason is because the updates make all of this run slower. The final thing you may be wondering, so with this tune-up, we did the defragmenting the registry, we did that stuff. The final thing is we did not show you how to defragment the hard drive. Now I know this is a big thing for you guys out there. I know like lots of newbies, you need to defragment the hard drive. I'm telling you, as a professional, been doing this for a long time, defragmenting the hard drive is no big deal. It's going to take hours and hours and hours to do, especially on these new computers. We're not in the days of 10 gig hard drives and 20 gig hard drives. We're in the days of 500 gig hard drives and 2 terabyte hard drives. If you try to defragment one of those hard drives, it's going to take a long time. There's not much to it. You just click go and defragment, but it's going to take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to do, and it's not going to give you much of a performance difference. Modern computers, defragmenting the hard drive doesn't do a lot for you. So the tune-up I showed you how to do, you can do that tune-up in 5 or 10 minutes. If you defragment the hard drive, it could take 15 hours, and it's not going to do much for you. So just keep that in mind. So this was a class on simple Windows PC tune-up. I showed you how to use CCleaner to defragment the registry, to clean out the temporary files, to disable startup items, and to uninstall unused programs. I swear to God, if you do this, it's lickety-spit. It's quick. You can see a difference right then and there. So yeah, that's all there is to it. So as always, I'm Eli the Computer Guy over here for EliTheComputerGuy.com and EverymanIT.com. I enjoyed teaching this class and look forward to seeing you at the next one.